Okay, so well, it's after 5 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Thank you for coming to Handshake 101, your prep to the Handshake platform. My name is Thomas Becker. I am one of the coordinators in the Business Placement Center in the College of Business and Analytics. I'm the Employer Relations Coordinator, so I deal with the career fair coming up and on-campus interviews and things of that nature. I also have presenting with me today for Handshake 101 Dane Inman. I'll let him introduce himself really quickly.
Hi, I'm a student worker at the Business Placement Center. I'm an administrative aide, and I'm a senior here at SIU.
Yeah, Dane's been with us for a while now. He's been with us since freshman year, so you've definitely probably seen him in the office. But to start things off, thank you for coming again. And I'm just going to go through a little kind of housekeeping notes. The video is being recorded for our online students or any students that weren't able to attend today. So we'll be able to post that on the college's YouTube channel. It'll probably go up next week. And then also for anyone that is here for extra credit, whether that be for an RSO or class presentation, like I mentioned before, just please put your name in your Zoom name to where we can find you. And other than that, we'll get started. I'm going to switch what I'm sharing right now from the Handshake 101 slide. Okay, does everyone see build your profile faster Handshake? Okay, so we're in Handshake right now. This is the student side of Handshake. The easiest way to get to Handshake, because it is a single sign-on with your SIU 85 number and your normal password, is just go to SalukiNet, log in, type in Handshake, and it'll instantly log you in. So that is the easiest way to get to here. And then once you're in Handshake, all you have to do is go to the top right, and you can go to My Profile, and that's how you get to this section. I'm in the student side, and we wanted to do this to show you completely blank profile, because that's the main thing that we want to start this presentation with, is the profile, because it's kind of like LinkedIn. You wouldn't really post on LinkedIn or add people on LinkedIn until you built your profile, because people, if you sent LinkedIn requests and you didn't even have a profile picture, it would, kind of have some red flags to some people. So that's how you get to here. And this is kind of the breakdown of what is on the Handshake profile. Very much like LinkedIn, it has your photo, your name, kind of a bio, journey, education, and then different types of kind of resume sections, really, work experience, organizational. LinkedIn, Handshake, resume, it all has about the same sections. One thing that I did want to show on the blank one, and it I think will only show for the blank side, is you can upload your resume and it will auto take sections out of your resume and fill in for your Handshake profile. So that is a really good tool. So you may want to actually get your resume critiqued by us in the Placement Center and then upload it to your Handshake profile, and that'll make it a lot faster. You won't have to, type the exact same information twice. So that was kind of just the breakdown of that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now and give it to Dane, because now he'll actually go over the details of what's in the Handshake profile, how it will look, getting this profile completion all the way to 100%, and how to add things and the other sections of Handshake.
Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, so as Thomas was saying, you go to SalukiNet, you log in, and Handshake will be it's on my most recently used, but it will be on most popular as well. So all you do is click that, and it'll bring you to Handshake's homepage, which they've really changed this year. But all you have to do is click your, I can't really see because one second. Okay, click your My Profile and it'll take you to your profile. And as you can see, mine is 100% completely done. And you can see your profile is 100% complete. But if it wasn't complete, it will tell you what you need to put. So first off, it says my journey. It's kind of like LinkedIn summary. So I have my name. I'm a fourth year student, what I major in, what I minor in, and just a little bit about me. And then education, obviously it's where you go to school or where you did go to school. So I have my Shawnee Community College for dual credit in high school. Handshake is pretty up to date on everything. So it will have your GPA from like your transfer GPA and your real GPA as well. So if it's not above a 3, I wouldn't show it to employers. And this side is what employers see on my Handshake profile. Then I have my work experiences. So I have Southern Illinois Administrative Aid, the Business Placement Center. I have a little bit of my high school employment. I do the operation manager because it shows that I held a higher position. And then I have Kroger just to say I have a little bit of retail. And then organizations and extracurriculars, I just have my fire department, but that could be RSOs, that could be professional organizations that you're in as well. And then Handshake wants you to do courses to build your profile. So I just did a little bit of courses I've taken at SIU, but I do think it does go with your classes. So all you have to do is click and then go through it, because this was already presented to me to add to my profile. And then they wanted you to add a website. I would assume that they want your LinkedIn, but I did a website that I created for a startup business as well. So that's kind of your profile. As Thomas said, you can upload your resume as well, and I'll go through that next. But is there any questions?
Well, you can go ahead and unmute if you have a question, because I saw your hand raised.
Oh yeah, that's fine. On the top, I'm not sure if I saw a typo, like for fourth year student.
If it is, it's completely my fault.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was just wondering.
Fourth. It probably is a typo.
Yeah, and honestly, that gives a great part of this. Just like anything, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your Handshake profile, never just have one person look at it. Never just make it yourself and then upload it or go to a job fair without having other people. Have your friends, have your family, have us at the placement center look at it. Even have your professors have them look at your resume. And I want to add one part, especially for anyone that's in the accounting program, whether it be undergrad or Mac, the course experience at the end would be a great place to distinguish some of those higher level classes and to distinguish if you're going for a tax or what concentration you're going for, to show that to employers, especially if you're going for, say a tax internship. Whenever you apply on Handshake, then the employer will see your Handshake profile, and them seeing that you've taken a lot of tax classes already will help. And that does go for every single major as well. Management, if you have a specialization in healthcare management, then showing those classes, if you're going to apply to SIH, as an example, showing healthcare related management classes is a good thing to highlight. So that's just kind of a thing to think about. And you may even, definitely update it. Just like a resume, Handshake is definitely a living document. It is essentially a website. It's your website and your landing page. So make sure to update it as you go through school, as you go through your college life. You join RSOs, add that part. As you change jobs, update that. Even if you're in the same job like Dane has clearly more responsibility and more things that he can put for working at the business placement center than when he started as a freshman. So even think of that, even if it's not starting a new job. But yes, if anyone else has questions, feel free to ask. And after that, we'll go on to the next section.
And yes, the BBC does offer profile reviews on Handshake LinkedIn. But as you can see, I have not utilized that. But yes, we do reviews on Handshake LinkedIn. we also offer headshots for the profile as well. But
Quick question. Oh, sorry. Quick question. Whenever it comes to some of the classes listed on there, I don't know if we should be putting the classes that we're currently taking down on there, or should we be waiting to put those classes down when we actually complete them at SIU?
Generally, with most things in a resume, except for the education part, because education you do put, of course, you're in your bachelor's of science in marketing per se, and you would put the anticipated graduation date. You don't do that for classes, really. You would put classes that you've already completed. Of course, no one wants it to happen, but say you did have a harder time in that class, and you just got done with it, and you have an interview, and then a employer asks you about it. You might have not even failed it, you might have passed it, but that might not be something you want to bring up in an interview. So always waiting until after you finish the class, and then you can put it. And that is a great question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I will move on. So at the top right, where my picture is, I'm going to click, and it has all these different, my profile, my jobs, my interviews, and my documents. I'm going to click my documents, and this is where the resumes are. So as you can see, I have a lot of specific resumes that I've applied to, like higher level, Sherwin-Williams, and just a lot more different. But the only one that I have visible is my generic resume for employers that just look at my profile. So I'll click that and show that. And this is my most recent resume. It's all up to date, everything. And you kind of want that to be visible to employers because they can look at your profile. If you register for an event or just apply in general, this will be the one that they see. They do have cover letters and cover letters that you can upload, but as you can see, I haven't done cover letters because most Handshake employers don't require cover letters to score. Where does the GPA score come from on Handshake? The GPA is automatically transferred from SIU. Handshake will know your GPA just because it is a database that SIU uses. It is up to date faster than you know. But that's a good question as well. But
and to touch really quickly on that, because I saw that in the chat as well, what Dane says is completely right. It is automatically pulled from SIU to Handshake, and I believe on a weekly basis, I think it's supposed to be. With that, it's the exact same as your resume. So we would tell a student if your GPA is a 3 or less, then don't put it. And Dane can show you that, where you can make things visible and not visible to employers, and GPA is one of them. There's a few things that auto-populate that you can actually decide whether people publicly see or not. And that's kind of where the employer view comes in. And once you click that tab, and Dane can go more into that detail, it'll show you what the employer sees. But that is a great question. Yeah, that's kind of the background of that.
Okay, now I was actually the one who just posted that question now because I had an application I filled out with an accounting firm in this case, so I wasn't certain about as far as which one I would actually use in this case. If I use that one or the one that came up on my degree audit stating that it was actually my overall GPA. That's why I was just confused in this case, because I knew that my overall GPA was lower because I was a transfer student in this case, so that's why I wasn't certain. Do I use that one? I know they have a separate one for a major, which I know I had that on there correctly. I just was uncertain in this case, which one to use in this case. I know they have it on Handshake, they have it this one, but my degree audit thing says differently. That's why I wasn't certain which one to use between the two. Because that's like about a 0.2 of a point difference between the two.
And so just to make sure I understood correctly, so there's you're asking whether to use in an application your major GPA or your overall, which also includes transfer credit?
Well, there's two actually. There's a separate line for the major GPA, which that I know I already have that down solid. It's just that when they ask for either cumulative or overall GPA, where when they see it on Handshake that it's this one score, but if they were to like review my transcript, they would see a different score. So that's what I'm just have concerns about because I'm still currently in school right now until next spring.
So Handshake only does your SIU GPA. So my SIU GPA is lower than my accumulative. On DegreeWorks, my GPA is, I believe, 0.3 higher than my SIU GPA. So I just hide that from employers to see, because once I give them my resume, my real accumulative GPA is on there. So yes, Handshake is only SIU, but you can see what you got on your transfer community college or anything like that on Handshake as well.
Right.
But it does not overall do that for you.
Right, because like I said, my SIU GPA is higher, but my overall GPA is lower. So that's why I just had concerns about that, because I put down on these networking events for these different accounting firms. I know as far as which one do I use. So to play it safe, I basically did the lower one, the overall, because if they were to review my transcript later on down the road, when I'm finished with school, that's just my overall concern. I'm sure a lot of us are, sort of in that same boat, especially if we transferred to SIU and then start as a freshman coming into the university. So that makes sense.
And on a career development side, not so much just the Handshake part, but for everything, you're making your resume and all of that, you can distinguish on your resume major GPA and then put that. So then, the accounting firm, the employer will know that in the classes that really matter, those higher end classes, because employers 9 times out of 10 do not care that, if you had a hard time in zoology 115 or something, they care that you finish strong. And a lot of employers don't put, crazy emphasis on GPA anyway, but you can do that on your resume. And I would suggest that if it does make a very large difference and it really bumps you up.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks.
And I'm going to include just in the chat for any, if you do want your Handshake profile reviewed, if you want your LinkedIn profile reviewed or a resume reviewed, anything of that nature, just please email placement@business.siu.edu for any professional development needs. I just wanted to put that out there. So if you want to keep note of that, and even if you can email us tonight if you want your resume reviewed and attach your resume. And I just want to put that before I forgot about it.
Okay. So yeah, you want to make sure you upload your resume and cover letter. Cover letter if you want to, but resume for sure, and make sure it's up to date. And as Thomas said, you can send it to the DPC and we'll look over it. But if there's not any questions about that, I will go to searching for jobs. And as you can see, the jobs is right here, and all you do is click on it and it'll take you to jobs. So with this, it'll give you, let's see, 16,000 jobs. So how do you go through 16,000 jobs from your major? So there's filters up here that you can do. So if you're only looking for an internship, you can do that. Say you want it in St. Louis only. You can change the distance to St. Louis only, and it'll show you internships. And then you have all these other features. So interviewing on campus, what you want as your job role, and even some employers. So my major, sociology, I can click that and see what they have for me as well. But they have all these different filters that help you go through those 16,000 jobs. Now I get 50 to what I want. Or if I wanted a full-time job, I can do that. So you can say I like this job. I can save this job and then apply externally later, or go back to it and make my resume to the job description. Or if I would just want to apply quick, let's see if I can find one. I can apply, and since I have my resume uploaded, all I click is Inman's resume, and I can submit the application, and you apply to that internship program as quick as that if you have your resume uploaded and ready to go. But if you'd like to do the job description and direct your resume towards this job only, you can just save it and go back later. So that is filtering for jobs. Is there any questions about that?
And to touch base on whenever Dane first brought it up, there was 16,000 jobs. Handshake is very much active. Every single day there are new employers that register to Handshake. Every single day there are new jobs that are posted. So make sure to check it often. At a minimum, check it once a week if you're looking. If you're looking for an internship, you're looking for a full-time job. Don't just check it one time and then apply to 5 jobs and then give up. There are constantly new jobs, happening in new locations, and don't be afraid to expand past your idea of specific employers. Say if you are an accounting student and the big 4, well, there's a lot of great companies that like Hormel Foods or Sherwin-Williams, companies that are not specific accounting firms that hire accountants, and they have accounting internships, they have full-time accounting jobs that have very great pay and great benefits. And that goes for all majors. Just, never limit yourself to a set number and a set, list of employers. Make sure to be open to all the ones that are out there.
So if there's no questions, I'll go on with messaging. So Handshake has this generic message that you can send the recruiter after you apply, and I'll just click it and say, hey, I came across this job. So it just has this generic message, but personally, I would not just send, hey, I found this job. So I'm gonna click messages on the top right corner and kind of show you what I used for the generic message. So as you can see, I had the generic message like right here, but I said, good morning, Miss Lambert. I'm Dane, graduating senior at SIU. I came across this job. I think I would be a perfect fit. And then I researched the company, kind of figured out what they were and saw they were a fast growing company and what my interests were. I appreciate your time. So even though it doesn't look like she saw the message or anything, I got an email from her 10 minutes later and said, hey, Dane, I saw your message on Handshake. I would love to talk to you more about what our company can offer. So even though it doesn't look like they saw the message, they really did. And I think it's a great fit that Handshake put, that it's that easy to message recruiters after you apply. So I will pull up a message as well. Mike Clark, I had an interview with him last semester, and just to say that you should be checking your messages on Handshake even during the career fair, because he said, good afternoon, I'm sorry I missed our appointment. If I wasn't checking that, I wouldn't had the opportunity to call, get an interview, and go through the steps after the interview for that. So you should always be looking for those messages. And I do believe employers send you messages as well, like, hey, I'll be here if you want to set up a one-on-one. Or another one was, thanks for applying, I'd love to schedule a call. Like, employers are always on Handshake messaging as well. So if you really don't look at your messaging, you can miss opportunities and miss internships that you applied for. So is there any questions on that? No.
I have a question.
Okay.
I am in Moline, Illinois. I'm pretty far from Southern. So because our Handshake is through Southern, will that impact some of the job listings and internships that'll be coming through? Or is it kind of like Indeed, where any company that posts a job listing, regardless of whether they're connected to Southern in any way, it'll show up for us still? Because I'm doing a search and I'm only seeing a few, And I didn't know if that's because not many companies here are using Handshake, or if it's because companies here aren't really thinking about Southern at all.
I'll let Thomas answer that question.
With Handshake is a national, and actually they're expanding into global and having some outreach at universities, even in Europe, I think, coming up. Depending on your location, it could be, where was the location again?
I'm in Moline. It's by the Quad City, or it's part of the Quad Cities, if you're familiar with Davenport,
Okay.
Iowa, kind of northern Illinois.
So it could be just so specific that there just might not be a ton of employers around that specific area that are on Handshake in general. Because I do know that we've seen, and we have had students that have applied and have positions all the way, in California, New York. We've even had student work in the past that they applied to a finance job in New York. And it's not that we, I didn't have a face-to-face interaction with that employer. It was just that, they did use Handshake. So even though, yes, it is Southern Illinois, since this is kind of an online platform that is used, globally, that shouldn't affect it because of the Southern Illinois part, because there truly are like hundreds of thousands of employers and a lot of jobs on there. And it could also be possibly, if you just look now, possibly seasonally. It might be the employers that are there just don't have positions out right now. And that kind of goes into that piece of checking it constantly. But definitely feel free, if it would help, reach out to us, and we can do a kind of professional development meeting, and then we can help you search and see if we can find anything, and if there's any contacts that we have around that area, because we're always looking to grow and expand on that side.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually adding on to that too, like in Kelly's situation. I also live in upstate Illinois, but I live in Joliet, Illinois, which is about near Chicago. So that's a similar thing I had too. And it wasn't until about maybe 2 years ago that when I had changed the filters in that information, and then I informed potential employers about this, that I started getting some more opportunities on that, because I started filtering the opportunities in that, because my background expertise, and of course where I'm living at right now, is in that approximate vicinity. So yeah, I feel that and it's in Kelly's situation too, like with mine, like I said, her situation is because geographically it's a little bit more limited for her, whereas in my position though, since I'm closer to a major metropolitan city like Chicago in this case, I have some more opportunities. But of course, yes, taking as an online student, taking courses at Southern Illinois, that's just the thing. It's a little bit hard to try to know, okay, are these employers, understanding, that not every student that they have on Handshake is, in Carbondale proper, it's at the university taking these courses. They realize that there's online students as well, and they could be from anywhere, in Illinois or anywhere else outside of that, for that fact. So
that really is a good part of it, is that because Handshake is global, and depending on the time, you might not have in your very specific town and region. But even if you expand that filter and go the range out a little bit, there are jobs in every section that we know of. I mean, and yes, they are constantly updating. I mean, now, yes, this is specific, but a smaller town such as Marion, that's next to Carbondale, before a few years ago, didn't really have that many employers on Handshake, because they really weren't even recruiting via web-based platforms. Well, now we have many certain minors, the higher level, all based out of Marion. So kind of transporting, having those towns that are 20,000, or just even the town that might not be used to or recruiting based on Handshake. So that can be kind of something that we can work with though, and help you and help bridge that connection. And also on the same end, say an example of Edward Jones. We have very good connections with Edward Jones. If you want to be placed, even though our connections with Edward Jones are from the St. Louis area, from the Carbondale area, Murfreesboro area, they have been more than happy to help find you. So if you want to go to Joliet, if you want to go to Moline, if you want to go to anywhere, they have those connections, and we can help on that end as well, if that part makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, and like I said, in your case, yes, Thomas, yes, I agree that with everything going on, yeah, especially within these last 2 years of the pandemic, and that a lot of employers, especially those in the smaller towns, they've had to, change their dynamic in this case and trying to reach out to potential candidates because, of course, with technology advancing as it is, there are a lot of possible, there are a lot of people out there who fit their skill set, but it's hard to try to be able to try to reach out to them, connect with them, if they're still stuck, from like years ago. So yeah, I'm glad that Handshake, is that they're trying to incorporate that to all these industries, all these businesses and that stuff, and hopefully as time progresses that will that a lot of people will be able to get more jobs, and it'll work out for everybody's best interest.
And I agree. And I was looking for full-time jobs in Evansville, Indiana. I saw that Handshake didn't really have too many, but I checked Indeed and LinkedIn careers, and I did find that employers use those databases as well. And there were a lot of opportunities. So I wouldn't just put all my faith in Handshake, but Handshake is a great way to find recruiters and message them fairly easy, because there's not a way you can message on Indeed. I believe there's a way you can message on LinkedIn, but Handshake is like more used to connect with students and employers and recruiters. But I'm going to move on to events, which is right on the left-hand top corner. And as you can see, it pulls up almost all college-based events at SIU, but it'll have your schedule over here. So I registered for all these, but I'm going to click the SIU College of Business and Analytics Career Fair. And on this top right corner, it'll say register, but I already registered for it. And you'll take a little survey that says if you would like your resume to be looked at, or cover letter, your profile, if you need a headshot, and then if you need to see our career closet. But this will be the event of the College of Business and Analytics Career Fair. It's Wednesday, October 6th, 2 to 6. If you need a room to use, because this is a virtual event, if you need a room, you can reach out to us and reserve the conference room or many other rooms that we have, so you can be in a safe, quiet space during this. And Thomas just put the link in the College of Business and Analytics Career Fair in the chat if you would like to register right now or later. But you can see all the employers that are attending. I'll just click all 21. We have 21, but they are still coming in as every day. I believe yesterday we had 19, so we're up 2 in one day. But Handshake has this quality where you can follow employers, you can see what jobs they post and all this. But I don't know if I can schedule one-on-ones, Thomas, at this time.
Once you register and everything, you should be able to.
Okay, available session.
Yeah, available sessions.
I found it. So after you click available sessions, you can see what company you want to potentially have a one-on-one with, which is you talking to the recruiter, telling them about yourself. It's about a 10-minute window. So it's really, you need to know about the company already. You need to have your questions already thought out, because I personally went to some of these, and it's not like a, hey, tell me about yourself. That's like a 10-second window. It's more like, what do you know about our company? Where do you see yourself in our company? And why are you interested? So to schedule a one-on-one, it's this easy. You click what time you believe you want to talk to them and what you're available. And I'll just say show all times because it is 2 to 6. So they have these 10-minute windows. So say I want to do 2:30 that Wednesday. All I do is confirm, and now I'm ready to meet with higher level. So that's how easy it is to set up one-on-ones for events and how to register. It is literally 2 minutes to register, 30 seconds to put your one-on-ones in. But I would definitely go to their company, and if you already know what company you want to talk to, think of some questions for her or him, the recruiter. And a great breaking ice question is, how did you start in this company? And then that kind of breaks the ice. It gets the conversation going pretty easy. But not only is there one-on-ones, there are group sessions as well, which are great to attend right before your one-on-one because you get to learn about the company, what they have to offer, and some insight that you might not have known just from a Google search or looking at the company's website. So I would recommend going to the group sessions before your one-on-one, but some employers just have group sessions and then they'll be like, if you're interested, message me on Handshake. So it all goes hand in hand. Messaging, your profile being up to date, events, like it all goes hand in hand with employers and the student applying. So
And real quick, I wanted to touch on the career fair a little bit more, and we will have a virtual career fair 101 coming up in our 101 series. But with the career fair, please register. Use that link. It's insanely easy. The survey that we have you take at the beginnings just to help you, because it helps us know if you want a resume review, if you want a room reserved, if you need to utilize our career closet, we pull that data and then we'll reach out to you. So we'll be able to get that done ahead of time instead of, October 5th, you needing to check out, a suit or a dress blouse the day before the career fair. We can get it done, this week, next week. And then on top of that, and also I see the data, so I know how many people are registered right now, and I'll know how many people are registered after the career fair. Always keep checking the career fair the closer it gets. Currently, right now, and I've been actively working, we have 21 employers. 2 of them, like Dane said, did register today. Not all the employers have their schedule set. This is by no means, it's not on you guys at all. So, the employers are kind of dragging their feet a little bit, actually. But I'm working right now to try to get every single employer to have their schedule set. So you as the student can register for those one-on-ones and those group sessions. I'm hoping to get it to where by a minimum 2 weeks before the career fair, they should already have it done. But just kind of put that in mind. If you register for the career fair today and you see an employer say, Grant Thornton or Sherwin-Williams, and they didn't have one-on-ones or group sessions that you can even see, that's because they don't have their sessions created yet. They will have their sessions because they've already registered for the career fair, so they're going to come. But just check back. So once you register for the career fair, if there's an employer like, oh man, I really want to talk to Sherwin-Williams, and they don't have a one-on-one session that you can get to, and they don't have any schedule whatsoever, check back next week, check back, the end of September, they will have it. So I just wanted to make sure to kind of drive that home, that even if you've already registered, you've seen an employer and you thought, oh, well, they don't have sessions, they will have sessions. So log back into Handshake. Before Dane completely moves on from events, Dane, can you go to the events tab again and scroll down further and just talk a little bit about the employer sponsored events? Because yes, whenever you go to Handshake, the first ones you'll see will be SIU sponsored events. Our college, career development. If you go all the way down, you'll start to see employers like the IRS. I think Ford was one of them. And I just kind of wanted to drive home that these are actually sponsored. So like for the career fair, Deloitte's not coming this time just because the career fair is a little bit later. But they have an event right there that was, right above the Ford one. So go to those events. Those events are hosted by the employer. They are the recruiters. They are the people that would be interviewing you. And Handshake has tons of these. we get, I mean, there probably are new events every single day of, 20 or more that are all different locations, definitely all different companies. And please look at the events tab and attend these events. Most of the time, I will say, you'll register on Handshake. A lot of times it'll, of course, take you to a Zoom link or something along that nature. But I just kind of wanted to highlight that a big part of Handshake is employer to student direct communication. It's not always us as the career development center or us as the business placement center making an event and then you interacting with the employer at that event. The employer can directly interact with you. We didn't make these events. This is actually the employer wanting to interact with you. And kind of give some background information. A lot of these events, and they're amazing events, the big four, you have Disney hosting events, you have General Motors hosting events, well-known companies, Google, Apple, things of that nature hosting events. And we have like single digits, if not zero people from SIU as a whole, not even just the College of Business Analytics, but SIU as a whole going to them. Sometimes you'll see emails and invites on Handshake, and those are actually from career development a lot of times. And we also highlight in our emails some of these events as well. But I just wanted to kind of drive that home that there are amazing events. So even if an employer isn't coming to the career fair, they're most likely going to be hosting events that they would love to interact with you and love to get you, to apply to their jobs, their internships, things of that nature. But just now that we're kind of highlight all the parts of events, the career fair coming up October 6th, the employer events. Does anyone have any other questions on that section?
I had one question. So I understand that for some of these events, they will show a Zoom link, but for the ones that just say virtual, do they specify how you would enter the one-on-one meeting? Like, let's say you have a schedule for the one-on-one with Jewel Osco. Would they specify the link used again?
So are you talking about on the one-on-one, like the career fair one-on-one?
Yeah, like that.
Oh, okay. So actually, and definitely come to the virtual career fair one-on-one or one-on-one session we have. But I'll touch base on that as well. We have. Whenever we switched to virtual career fairs, and this will be our third one, Handshake did create the virtual career fair and being able to host it in Handshake. So actually Handshake doesn't use Zoom links, they don't use Teams, they don't use any third-party software. They do use a third-party software to host the video, but you automatically join it through Handshake, and Dane is showing that right now. So you don't have to add a link to your calendar. You don't have to, copy and paste it and put it in a different browser. That's the beauty of the virtual fair part of Handshake, is since we're hosting it in Handshake, where the employers are using Handshake, you as the student is also using Handshake. We also get to use Handshake's video feature. So yeah, Dane, if he wants to, he can talk a little bit about it. We'll save some for virtual career for 101, but if you want to give just a little bit of your experience about how to join a video, you can.
Yeah, so after you do the one-on-one, you just click your schedule and it'll show all your sessions. So you can see I just did one session. And when it goes to be, I believe it's 12 minutes, you have 12 minutes to join, or it lets you join 2 minutes before. I'm sorry, 2 minutes before. So you can just click join, and you just wait for the employer, or the employer's already there. And it's completely just like Zoom. It'll have a camera and the mute button at the bottom and stuff like that. But it's just like a virtual meeting. It's just like a one-on-one, just to get to know about the company. And like I said, it's only 10 minutes. So you think 10 minutes is a long time, but you really don't get a lot from it. So that's what you need to have questions already built out and kind of stick out to the recruiters. Because you hear, tell me about yourself, and then you get done with it. And then it's awkward if you don't know any questions or if you don't know the company that well. So I would really do research and have questions already built out, because those 10 minutes fly by and then you're just on to your next session.
And like every single part of Handshake, when you go to the jobs tab and you find a job and you apply to the job, and then you can send that follow-up message. Please do that. Whenever you say you have a one-on-one with Sherwin-Williams, you get to meet that person, then send them a message. And as it shows, you can send them a message even through there. It's right next to the joined video. Use that feature of Handshake and reach out to that employer. We've been working with the employers and working with you as the students, trying to get everyone in the mindset that the one-on-one sessions, yes, they're on the shorter end, they're just supposed to be an introduction. They're supposed to be an introduction that you get to meet the person, you get to hear a little bit about, you get to ask questions, and if, like Dane said, come prepared. The employer can't talk for the whole 10 minutes. They want to hear from you as well, but it's just supposed to be an introduction, and do that follow-up. Send them a message on Handshake, get their email through Handshake or through the video chat, and then email them following up. So I just wanted to add that is kind of the full circle. Is you register for the career fair or an event on Handshake, all of which are on Handshake. You go to it, then you follow up with the employer, and have a thank you message. And that's more, you'll be more likely to get an interview. You'll be more likely to, kind of land that position that you're wanting. Many times, I'll be honest, in our office, we've had graduate assistant interviews, we've had student worker interviews, and sometimes it really does come down to two great candidates, and one sends a follow-up message. One sends a follow-up message that's a thank you message, and that just goes. It really does show. Like when you have two amazing candidates, and it's hard to narrow it down. When that one, applicant has that initiative and sends that thank you, then that really does put you ahead of the game. So Handshake makes that very easy to do. So please utilize that.
And I have had two experiences, two completely different experiences with one-on-one. So I get into the one-on-one, and it was just like, what questions do you have for me? Now, to come up with questions that I wasn't prepared for, it was kind of just a shot in the dark. Hey, do you have internships? Well, what do they look like? And then I have another experience where it's like, well, this is our company. This is what we can offer. Like, how do you see yourself in this company? And then tell me about yourself. So there are many different ways the one-on-ones can go, but I would just be prepared for anything and everything for the company that you want to do the one-on-one with. But is there any other questions before I stop sharing my screen? Okay.
Well, that is actually, kind of, we went through everything. We went through everything from the profile, a blank profile, to, having your profile finished, the fact that you can upload your finished resume to your Handshake profile, and that makes it so much easier for you to be able to insert that information. And then, the different tabs in Handshake, the jobs tab, being able to filter that, constantly checking it because it's constantly changing, the events section. Not only is it for SIU hosted events, but for national and international company hosted events for every single type of company. So please, join those. And then of course, the employer tab, you can always actually view and look at employers. And as Dane showed, you can follow them. And then that'll give you more kind of insight into, what things that they have coming up, what positions they have coming up. And then of course, another big feature in Handshake is the messages tab. And you can actually send messages to employers. You can follow up. You can even send a pre-message. You can say, hello, so-and-so, I just registered for my one-on-one session for the October 6th career fair. I'm so excited, looking forward to meet you. You can even be proactive and beat the employer to the message. And sometimes, just like us and you as students, sometimes the employer might not see the message and you might not get a reply, but it's always better to put that kind of that front facing and being proactive forward. Even if the employer doesn't see it, if they do see it, it will mean so much more. And then I just really quickly wanted to, because we didn't show this side, and I'm going to share my screen really quickly. Okay, and everyone sees Handshake now. Yeah. Yeah, everyone sees Handshake now. So I just wanted to go to the Career Center tab real quick, because this is what Handshake looks like, as you know, whenever you first log in. The Career Center tab is kind of like your homepage in a way. And I just wanted to show this because this is the landing page for career development. And you have that as a resource as well. Being in the College of Business and Analytics, you have both career development and the Business Placement Center, both at your disposal. But if you wanted to go down and go to the 2 individual career centers, you can go to ours or SIU Career Development Center. And that's another way to see upcoming events. And I just kind of wanted to put that out there. It's very, it doesn't have much on it, but it shows all the events coming up. So it shows that coming up, there is Anders CPA fall interviews that are going to be held virtually. We're going to have BPC After Dark, and then you can click that as an event. It'll take you directly to that, and you can even register for the event, and it'll give what it's about, the location, the other students that are going, which, as you see, it's such a long list that's going to BPC After Dark. But I just wanted to show that part, that the Career Center is another tab. And that is a way to kind of divvy up and see even more things on Handshake. And then just to kind of give a quick promo, please come to BPC After Dark. It's going to be virtual, and it'll be for resume review, cover letter review. We'll review your Handshake profile. Since it's Wednesday, that'll give you some time. Make your Handshake profile, create your resume, and then join us virtually. And we'll actually virtually have breakout sessions, and it'll be myself or Jasmine Robbins or our graduate assistant, and we will review it there during the event. And then a little small thing, we will be physically in the office, so stop by RIN 113 if you need to utilize the career closet. I just wanted to end with that, but that is all for our presentation. I'm very happy that you came, and honestly, thank you very much, and just register for the career fair. That's the biggest thing I want to end on. We'll stay on for a little bit. So if anyone has questions, we'll stay on for a little bit. But other than that,